Do you like old fashions, but you want something a little bit different, something with a little bit more fruit, maybe some extra nuance behind it? Well, how about an orange liqueur combined with cognac? Well, we have 3 different liquors that will accomplish that particular type of flavor profile in extraordinary fashion and up your old-fashioned game along with any other dark liqueurs to a whole nother level. Hi, my name is Gabe Bauer and I love making cocktails inspired by history. As such, I have a fairly substantial liquor cabinet and I want to take you guys through my collection and show off some of the things that I have and give you guys an idea of what each one tastes like and how to use it in your cocktails as you guys try to come up with your own recipes. Today, I'm getting into cognacs that are mixed with orange flavors, usually mixed with an orange liqueur, and I have 3 excellent options before us today. I have Quantro Noir, I have Mandarin Napoleon, and I also have Grand Marnier. Now, 2 of these are pretty well known throughout the mixing world. You guys may have heard of these 2 particular brands, but perhaps not this one. After all, I haven't heard of this one up until this year, but I can't wait to try it with you guys. So this is a fairly new bottle, and I want to see how these differentiate from each other. So the first bottle that we're going to get into is Quantro Noir. Now this is a well-known just titan of delicious orange liqueur. That's really what they're known for, but with Quantro Noir, they added cognac. Now this is a particular blend of 70% orange liqueur and 30% cognac, which will make this fairly orange forward, but I think it will add enough sophistication on the back end. A little bit of woodiness, a little bit of nuance to the flavors that will be on your tongue and coat that palate of yours that will elevate your cocktail, especially on a tropical drink side. But let's give it a try. Now with Quantro Noir, they've been around for a very long time, since the late 19th, early 20th century. They know what they're doing when it comes to orange liqueurs, and I think Quantro Noir is a wonderfully complex liquor that they have come up with. Of course, Cointreau itself is fantastic, but when you add a little bit of cognac, it just makes it so much better. One thing that I really love about this particular liquor is that it is golden. They really nailed the coloring of this one with the balance between the orange liqueur and the cognac itself. It really almost matches the marketing that they have with it. If you look at the top of the bottle here and the color of the liquor itself, they're almost identical, it seems, and that is just fantastic because it's like you're pouring liquid gold that tastes amazing to your cocktails. So presentation wise, this is fantastic, but let's see how it tastes. Firstly, on the smell, the aroma is very citrus forward. Smells almost of orange blossoms and that rind that you would have. So very citrusy, very orangey, which is what you would expect from Cointreau. Not a whole lot of cognac on the back end, so this is a lot more citrusy, but let's see how it tastes. I like to let it sit on my tongue so I can get as much of those flavors as possible. Sometimes it introduces a numminess to your tongue and that will get you some extra flavors. And with this one particularly, orange very much up front. You can tell that this is 70% orange liqueur, but that cognac carries it through in the back end. As it goes towards the back of your tongue, it's nice, it's velvety, it's smooth. There's a little bit of numminess right on the sides of the tongue, nice warmth down the throat into the chest area, but not overpowering, nothing that would like scare you. I would say it's not like you're taking shots of, tequila or you're taking shots of vodka, nothing that's gonna burn substantially, but it's a nice warm hug that just has a wonderful bittersweet orange flavor. Slight bitterness on the back end. I imagine that that's coming from the woodiness of the cognac, but also that orange flavor is just carried throughout. It really feels as if the cognac is just the cart that we have placed our orange on top of, and it is just carrying it through our entire palate, and it is wonderful. I think this would be fantastic in a lot of tropical drinks, or if you wanted to add it to, let's say, maybe even a vodka-based drink where you wanted a citrus element. You could even add it, let's say, to a whiskey sour, for example, which normally will have some citrusy elements to it already, but you can add to the sophistication with this one based off of the fact that it's going to be a higher end orange liqueur and with that cognac just have extra flavor. So it's excellent in that regard. The next alcohol we're going to get into is Grand Marnier. Grand Marnier, like Cointreau, has been around for a very long time. Pretty much since 1880 is when they really started to get the brand together, and since then they've been very popular, very well known. Now the blend between this one and this one, very different. This one is 51% cognac and 49% orange liqueur. Remember, this one was more orange liqueur, this one is more cognac. So we're already expecting a vastly different flavor, both on the nose with the aromatics and on the tongue with our palate, just based off of the blend of our two liqueurs that we have in here. But let's pour out into our drink. Now, as you guys may know, with Grand Marnier, it's fantastic both for cooking and drinking. If you guys have ever had Bananas Foster, I love Bananas Foster, it's delicious. This is what you would essentially flambe it with. You know, you light it on fire, adds that caramelization because it has a decent sugar content, some citrusy zing, and it gives you enough alcohol for it to light on fire. This is 40% alcohol, as is the Quantro Noir, so we're expecting a little bit of a burn, but nothing too major at least. And right up front, with the aromatics, this one is not nearly as citrusy as the Cointreau Noir. To be expected. A little bit more woodsy. You can really smell the cognac with a slight citrusy freshness that comes on the back end, right? You know, if you were wearing like a cologne, you'd be like, oh, that's nice, that's sweet, and oh, is that orange? Is that orange that I'm smelling? That's kind of how this is coming off right now. But let's give it a taste and see if it tastes different than how it smells. Immediately different. Far different than this one. This one has a lot more Cognac Forward, distinctive woody flavors. So it's a little bit more bittersweet up front, but it gets more mellow on the back end. It gets sweeter on the back end. I actually really like this. So it's far sugarier, sweeter would be the better word, than the Cointreau Noir, which is surprising considering that it's an orange liqueur, but this one is certainly much sweeter on the tongue. And as it goes through, slight numminess on the tip of the tongue, no burn, almost no burn that's going down my chest. Maybe a slight amount in the throat, but not really anything there. Wonderfully sophisticated. I really like the flavor of the cognac, and then it's almost being like escorted. I think that's the right word. It's like the cognac is the celebrity and the pretty date in his arm is the orange liqueur, whereas in Cointreau Noir, it's kind of the opposite, right? But it's a wonderful, delicious liquor, and I think that would be really, really good in a darker alcohol cocktail. Like, for example, if you were gonna go with a whiskey or you were going to go with a rum, something that's more aged, this would do really, really well with both of those in small amounts because you don't want it to be too bittersweet, but it'll add a nice amount of sophistication with enough citrus to really make it a very different cocktail, and something that I certainly think you guys would enjoy experimenting with. The final alcohol that we have is Mandarin Napoleon. Now, I came across this when I was visiting my sister up in Greenwich, Connecticut, and I went into the liquor store, and this was the first time I had ever seen this bottle. I did a little bit of research on them, and according to their story, that this brand, or at least the recipe, was first started in service to Napoleon, to give him a different type of liquor, something that he would enjoy on his own. As they developed over the years, they really became their own brand in like the 1890s and the early 1900s, and they've been solid ever since. This one is more cognac forward than either of the other two. This one doesn't even claim to have a blend of orange liqueur with cognac. This one seems to be more, this is cognac that is flavored with orange rinds with different spices. They also claim that they utilize a lot of different oils from a maceration process of their spices, which gives it a lot of complexity and a lot of body. So I imagine that this will be a liquor that when you drink it will have just a roller coaster of different flavors as you go through from the front of the tongue to the back of the tongue and you swallow. So let's give it a try. Already, this is the darkest of the three. It has the deepest amber color, which makes sense. I mean, this is probably the most Cognac Forward of the three, but it's very beautiful, I think. Nice, almost whiskey complexion, but on the nose, it's like smelling a spice rack. Almost reminds me of like cardamom and more savory spices. I wouldn't say it's something like nutmeg, perhaps. That's at least what my nose is picking up. But very spicy, very little orange smell on the nose here. Now, mind you, it is Mandarin Napoleon, so we know that there's going to be some Mandarin flavor in here. But the other oils, the other flavors and spices that they have added in here for this very unique blend are certainly making their name known on the aromatics. But let's give it a try. This is like when you open the doors to the mall on Black Friday, like 10 years ago when everybody still went to malls. Everybody's rushing through the door. All the spices are coming in. They're battling for dominance, and one of them is coming through. And guess what it is? It's the Mandarin. It makes sense because that's really what they want to have come forward here. At the front of the mouth, it's very sweet. There's a lot of different spices here. You can taste all of them. It's complex, it's sophisticated. There's just a roller coaster, like I said, of different spices that are working for dominance on your tongue. As it goes towards the back, it gets a little bit more bitter, but it is so refreshing. This one is very smooth, almost no burn whatsoever. Maybe a slight warmth in the chest, but that wonderful citrus really amplifies the cognac itself. I think this one would be fantastic with any dark liqueurs, to pair with any dark liqueurs. If you were doing an aged rum, it may actually amplify it so much that it may become bitter. But I think if you added it to, let's say, a nice whiskey, or you added it in moderation to certain rums, or perhaps less aged rums, this would be a wonderful way to amplify the sophistication of the cocktail, add a nice little amount of citrusiness and a decent amount of sugar that will make it very sweet, very palatable, very smooth. This is wonderful to experiment with. They also say to work with it in cooking. I would certainly try it out, throw it in a couple of different pans, see what you can flambe if you want to. Now, mind you, this is also 38%, so it's the lowest of the three, but wonderful sophistication, really good, I think, if you wanted to add it to your cocktails. But try them out yourself. These are all very, very good. Something I would certainly suggest that you would try if you guys wanted to differentiate your own cocktails at home, maybe take it to the next level. Try them out, let me know, put them in the comments. Tell me what cocktails you guys came up with and what you guys think of these alcohols yourself. Am I right? Am I crazy? I don't know. That's for you to decide. But for all of us here at Top Shelf History, as you know, history is always better with a drink. So, cheers.